Well, hello everyone and welcome to an interesting video where I have watched Fate Strange Fate for the first time. If you don't know somehow, this is an anime. It's 14 episodes, which is like technically a 13 episode season, as well as like an individual prequel that my understanding is it came out a few years before the actual main season that just aired. And I finished it on the 14th of May. So before I give my score and go into this nice review, I have some context to give, which is that this is my first Fate show that I've ever seen. Around 10 years ago, maybe a bit less, but I wanted to watch Fate Zero, I think it was called. It was basically one that takes place, I think it had like the church or something. It was like medieval times. I could be completely wrong. Basically, there was another show that I watched like part of the first episode and I was like, oh, Fate, that's like an interesting series. Let me watch it. And I just gave up. It was too long and I wasn't too interested. So this is my first thing ever. And mainly I wanted to watch this because as it was airing, like in the last season, whatever, like January until like last month, I would occasionally see screenshots of this on Reddit or Twitter or just random places and on TikTok maybe. And it just looked awesome, like visually. And I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll give Fate series another chance. So I watched this. I sat down, I watched the first episode, which I didn't realize was actually older until later. So initially I was like, oh, this is like an interesting, like we're opening with like a 40-minute long, like double episode length first episode, which is really throwing you to the middle of things. But apparently it was like a prequel. But I watched it in the dub as well specifically, which was an easier way for me to get through this, you know, because there was a lot of like technical terms and stuff, and it was just easier for me to watch it dub. But we'll talk about what I thought about the dub. But that's all the preamble. I would give this a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed this a lot. Like I was saying about the visuals are just as good as I was hoping for. They are fantastic. There's got to be like, I need ways of describing this because I'm not very good at it, but I think I need more technical knowledge on like how animation is produced and all that. But I have images this time. But I think just look at this image firstly, but the main thing that I really like about the way this looks is I think the compositing is probably the best word for this, where firstly the art style itself looks good. That's independent of compositing, but it just looks good. Like visually, I like the style of it, like the actual characters and all that. But it's like the lighting, the colors, the way there's like a blurred background, the level of detail of the background, like how all this comes together basically. It looks so good to me. Like, look at this. Like like I'm saying, the blurred, like really detailed background with the foreground characters that are like, you know, they're pretty decently detailed, but also the lines are like very, I don't know how to describe this. Like they're all consistent thicknesses. It just looks so good to me. And here's another one, you know, the nice, look at this background merging with the foreground and how good it looks. And the characters like look blended in, but they also look distinct. And like this one also has cool directing with like the positioning of the characters here and all the different lighting, and it just looks really cool. We have Ayaka here. She's just standing. Look, like she looks so distinct from the background, right? It looks like she's overlaid on the background as like a separate drawing, right? Which is like an intentional compositing choice, but it just looks so cool. I don't know what to say beyond that. So I don't know. Here's another one. Look at this. My goodness. We got Assassin in front of Saber here through his legs. We have this cool shot with the Little Red Riding Hood in the elevator. It was just super cool stuff. I don't know. It just looks really good. This show is what I want to say about it, the first thing. The animation, more so, which is something I can't really capture here, is pretty great all around. Like, this is one of the best, like, consistently well-animated shows I've seen. And there's definitely some standout moments of amazing animation. Like, there'll be certain sequences where I'm like, man, that just looks so good. Like, animation-wise, like movement and all that, like actual choreography of fighting and just the level of detail in the animation. Now, there is one thing to say, though, which is that, like, I think Jujutsu Kaisen has spoiled me. Like, nothing will ever be as well animated, like, in terms of fighting as Jujutsu Kaisen. So it's like, there are fantastic bits here. There are a few, like, very, like, a handful, like 2 or 3 moments, which are like, man, this like gives me that JJK season 3 itch, or like it scratches that, I don't want to give me the itch, it scratches the itch or whatever. But for the most part, it's like, man, this is really good. Not quite JJK though, but I love it. This, firstly, I got nothing to complain about visually. Animation, fantastic. Visually fantastic. I just thought it was worth saying, you know, that in the back of my mind, I'm every now and then thinking, man, wasn't JJK so good? But this is amazing. So we like it. Another thing, like, just the directing is also great. Like, all the shots I just showed you here, like, they all just are really interesting to look at. There's a thing the show does as well, which is that I think it is, like, a directing style thing. I don't know who directed this. I haven't actually looked at anything behind, like, the production of this. I know that A1 Pictures is the studio, though. That's, like, the one thing I know about this. But, which is, I think, different from the main studio that is the UFO table, I think? Or do they just make some of it? I don't know anything about the Fate franchise, okay? So please, I apologize for any ignorant things I'm saying. But one thing that is in the directing style of the show is that there's a lot of miscellaneous, like, or not miscellaneous, sorry, I'm referencing a video made by a fellow collaborator of mine, Kyle Entertainment, but there's a lot of insert shots in certain moments where 2 characters will be talking, and they'll be like, the talking will be fine, it'll just look like normal, like, talking, like, shots, like, still shots with mouths moving or whatever, and then, like, for 2 seconds, it'll, like, cut to something super cool with a really cool animation, and it's, like, kind of related to what's going on, but it's, like, also not, and it's, like, super cool. So, here's an example here. where it's like Saber is talking with Ayaka in the forest, and then it like cuts to this, and it's like, oh, there's like a 2-second insert shot with cool animation of him like almost being turned over to like some other kingdom or something in the past. And it's like, well, you didn't have to do this. Like it would have been fine with just a simple like two-way conversation, but it has cool like insert shots like this, and it's just so good to look at, and I love it. It's a good looking show, so I'm very happy that it kind of lived up to what I was hoping for. That's the first thing. Let's go back to this one now, so it doesn't annoy you the whole time. But the other thing to say is that it was very confusing, okay? Which is understandable. This is entirely my fault for making this the first Fate thing that I watch, but it is very true that there are a million, like, names referenced and events referenced, and there's, like, a whole rule of, like, how magic works and the Holy Grail and servant summoning and command spell. There's, like, a bunch of stuff in this. I think I get, like, there is a lot of it that I understand, but there is very clearly a lot of it that is just going over my head that I might even understand better if I just rewatch this show again. Because at the beginning, that first episode throws a lot at you, a lot of technical stuff, and I was also at that point, I was like, I don't know how invested I'm going to be in the show. Like, do I really write down all the little specific details of like all these terms? So I didn't. So it would be interesting to go back and maybe watch it again. But yeah, it is just very confusing. But the thing is that like a lot of this show is fighting. Or a lot of the climactic scenes are literally fighting. So missing all those details to me, maybe it would certainly add to it. I'm sure that you'd probably get something very different from this if you are like a big Fate fan, or a fan of the light novels or whatever. But I don't know, like I got all the important moments where characters are fighting, or the majority of the important moments where characters are fighting. I think I got it. Like I got why they're fighting, I get the motivation, so it's not like a detriment like that badly or anything like that, but it is certainly confusing, that is for sure. Yeah, there's like so many characters, and they like all have multiple names, and they all have relationships with each other that are like established before the show. And the thing is that it's also at the same time, it's a little confusing because I don't know what is like I'm meant to be confused by, because like the show is throwing it at us for the first time, versus like I don't know what is already established in the show. Like for instance, Foldius and I hardly know any names. Okay, so it's a miracle that I knew Foldius' name at all. But Foldius and or remembered his name, Foldius and the police guy. Like I could easily imagine these two being characters in another Fate story, where it's like they get thrown at you in here. You're meant to kind of understand. Like Foldius at the beginning is like doing some tricky stuff with another existing mage that also shows up at some point and is as a robot or something. There's a whole thing going on there where it's like, oh, I could imagine Foldius being like a previous character, and he has a relationship with this police guy, so maybe the police guy is like a previous character in another show. Or I could imagine these two are entirely just new in this story, and it's just confusing because it's meant to be confusing initially. Or it's like meant to like not be confusing, but like you're meant to feel little bit overwhelmed by all the characters. I don't know, but it was interesting, and I think it was worth saying. Then I have like a list of like, I tried to come up with like a few things where I'm like, this is like just so confusing. But so here's a list of random things. The eyes burn homunculus. I feel like that has to be a Fate thing that I just went completely over my head. But yeah, true that. There's some old man who takes over Ayaka in episode like 0, which is like the whole reason that she becomes in this story at all, is because this old man decides, oh, I need like a person to represent me in Snowfield. And I don't know if that's like a Fate thing, or if that's like a meant to be confusing thing, or like a mystery we're meant to find out later, or if it's a thing where it's like, oh, if you're a Fate fan, you're like, oh, I know this old man, he's that guy. I don't know, it's like a whole thing. But and then there's like some random girl who shows up midway through this show, offers another blonde girl a really cool servant with this like metal like robot guy. And then she like shows up at the final fight, and everyone's in awe. Like Gilgamesh is like, oh, like a real foe has arrived or something. And I'm like, what? Who is this lady? And I feel like this has to be like some Fate character or something, because it was so like, she came out of nowhere. She didn't really do too much by the end of this, but it is like a season 1, or like I hope. Goddamn, there better be more of this. So I don't know. That was also very confusing, but it is what it is. It's a confusing show. I was expecting to be confused. You know, I'm entering the series in the middle of a franchise, so yeah. But I enjoyed it. Now, another feeling I had, this is probably more toward the criticism side, but it didn't bother me too much, but some of these fights are awesome. I would dare say the majority of these fights are like great. Like I enjoyed them. I was looking forward to them when they happened. They were cool. But there are a few fights in this, and I don't know if I could really name any because it's like a feeling I have in the moment, but there's a few fights where it feels hollow kind of, where it's like, especially I guess some of those early fights, so like in the middle of the series, where it's like you have characters fighting for the first time, like servants who are fighting each other for the first time, and it's like, you know that nothing, or at least it feels like, maybe this can happen in Fate, but it feels like to me where it's like, these two are really like strong characters, they're really important characters, they're really big characters, so I don't feel like these servants are either, firstly, they're not going to go all out in this initial fight, because we need to have the important fights later, and also like, they can't really like hurt or like kill each other or any significant damage to each other at this point, because like, we need them later. Like, these are still important servants that are going to have their role to come, like, way later in the show, where it feels like we haven't built up to their proper fight yet. So now we're getting a fight initially, and it's like, it feels a little hollow is the best way to say it. So yeah, it is a feeling that I just got throughout this, but, you know, it's a minor kind of thing, but yeah, hollowness. Another thing about this is the show is a little bit like cheesy, geeky, cringy, I guess, but not in a bad way. No, like these are not bad things, what I'm saying. Like it just has a certain tone to it, which I'm trying to describe as like cringy, but not in a bad way, like in a kind of geeky or like cheesy kind of way, where it feels like this is almost certainly what the franchise is. Like this feels like the tone of the kind of story. But yeah, it's got like a bunch of sci-fi terms that are used throughout, like things like ley lines that were used initially, where that's like a kind of like cringy kind of like cheesy term, I guess. There's a bunch of name dropping, obviously all the servants, like Gilgamesh, that's like a name you hear, and it's like, oh, it's like a very geeky kind of sounding name in a story of like people fighting. Like, what if Gilgamesh fought with me or something like that, you know? Excalibur, like you get all these, King Arthur, like all these like kind of nerdy, geeky kind of names that are all showing up, and there's a lot of like mutual respect between enemies in like a very cheesy kind of way, where it's like, please forgive me, my great warrior, I underestimated you, like now I'm gonna show you what an inkling of my true power, like all that kind of like cheesy kind of stuff, which isn't bad. It's just is what the show is, and it's kind of like not what I would have expected. I don't know why. Like I would have assumed it to be more of a self-serious kind of show. It's hard to know what the show is kind of aware of, but it kind of feels a little bit aware of this like cheesiness. So I don't know. It's just the thing I noticed. Even like a small thing, like the fact that the police officers use hypnosis, or they call it hypnosis to like wipe the memories of like people. Like you could have come up with a less kind of like cheesy sounding name, but hypnosis, it is what it is. I don't know what to say, but it feels a little cheesy, but not in a terrible way, just like an interesting tone kind of way. And then my last like overall note to say is that the dub was great for the most part, is what I would say. Gilgamesh, I think, is the only exception pretty much, where Gilgamesh is weird, where it's like, I feel like I understand what they're going for in the dub. Basically, Gilgamesh is sometimes great, but at other times it feels like he's speaking too formally or stiffly, or like enunciating too much or something. Like his dialogue just sounds kind of a little bit awkward at times. So it's not the dialogue, it's like the delivery combined with the dialogue. It just doesn't sound natural, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. And I think I get what they're going for. They're meant to like represent him as like a king of kings, a king of heroes, I guess a king of heroes specifically, where he speaks as though he's above you, and he always speaks so formally, and like he's commanding you at all times. I see what they're going for. I feel like the dub doesn't really quite nail it. I would be curious to see what he sounds like in the sub, but I don't know if I would really get the same thing there too. But yeah, I don't know. But other than that, like Saber's voice is fantastic. Francesca's voice is probably the best of the bunch. Like it's a voice where I'm like, ooh, this is like such an interesting performance that I looked it up and I was like, have I heard this actor before? But I haven't. Like she wasn't in anything really notable or anything really that I'd seen. So it was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, what an interesting new dub performance by this Francesca lady. So that was really cool. All the rest they're just good. Like they're perfectly good, serviceable, like to good to great dub performances. So yeah, dub was pretty good. And the final like overall thing to say is that the series ended me with wanting more for sure. Like I got to the end and Flat dies and I'm like unbelievably invested. Oh my goodness, we'll talk about it. But I'm definitely gonna watch like a next season if this comes out. I was so invested that when I finished it, I looked up like, oh, like I heard at some point that this is like a light novel series. So I looked up like, oh, are all the light novels out? But apparently they're not all out yet, and it'll come out like in a few months or toward the end of the year, the final volume. And I don't know, like I was considering like, should I read this? Like, am I that invested? But probably not. But yeah, I was definitely very invested though. But those are my overall thoughts. Now, what I want to do is that I want to go into like, instead of talking about each character or whatever, I want to do a tier list of them. And as we go, we can like talk about the ones that have more to say in more detail, and the ones that have less to say, we can like skip over them really quickly. So let's swap over to the tier list. All right, so here we go. First, we've got Ayaka. I think Ayaka is perfectly fine. Like she has the whole struggle element of like, I'm not a master, I don't want to be a master, like don't call me master, like all that is like a little annoying and I don't like it that much, but she's fine. She's perfectly an average kind of protagonist. She's B. Saber is kind of cool. He's probably not the coolest in the show. There's probably a bunch of others that I like more, but Saber is awesome. He has like a bunch of the cool fights in the show that we're going to talk about. Like I have a section next, we're going to talk about like the best fights and moments and stuff, but Saber I like. He is the kind of typical like good guy. He's very aloof, I guess is probably the best way to say it, or like he's unaware of like how he's perceived and stuff like that. I don't know. He can't read the room. Sorry, that's a better way to put it, which is what Ayaka says about him. But we like him. Flat is awesome. I love Flat. S tier, definitely. Oh my goodness, when he died, it was heart-wrenching. Oh my goodness. But Flat is like this prodigy magician who like naturally just does this cool magic stuff. And there's like a few specific moments that are like just super cool with him. Like the moment when he breaks into the police station by initially, you think the first layer of his plan, which the police officer sees, you think his plan is that he's going to go and use his servant, Jack the Ripper, to kind of impersonate a police officer, arresting him. So that like when Flat comes into the police station arrested, maybe he'll be able to like infiltrate somehow secretly and it's like a fake arrest. But the police officer guy sees this and understands it. And he's like, oh, I've seen through your plan. But no no, it turns out Flat had already impersonated his like right-hand woman and had turned all the people in the police station into him, or like he had basically taken them over and like had made them into Jack the Ripper kind of clones or whatever. It was just awesome. So Flat, that's like one moment. Then there's the moment at the end where like Caster shows up and Caster's like, oh, you like the immediate, you immediately ran up to me and like cast this thing in my shadow. And it was just a cool interaction there where it's like Flat just has just cool, like natural kind of magic like that makes it feel very like, I don't know, like a genius. And it's like kind of awesome. So I like Flat a lot. Then we have not John Smith, Jesus, Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper is awesome, you know, he has the cool voice, he's just cool all the time, he's always like a little watch on Flat's wrist, he's watching all the time, he has this cool fight toward the end, we like Jack, he's great. Then we have Flat's master, I think this is, he was okay, he'd pretty like Ayaka tier, where I'm like, I don't think too much about him, but I didn't dislike him, and it was pretty good. Then we have Teenage Helk. Teenage was great. She is kind of like, I think the most interesting thing about her is her and Gilgamesh's relationship, where it's like, she's like scared of him, but at the same time, not really. And she kind of like sees him as like someone she can actually respect. Like, I was talking about her specifically, but also the other way around, kind of a little bit. It's like kind of cute. I don't know what to say beyond like, she kind of like wants to prove herself and like achieve her goal, but at the same time, she is like kind of scared of Gilgamesh, or like knows that dangerous things can happen because of him and to him as well. And she obviously cares about him and tries to heal him at the end. It's just, Tine is interesting. I like Tine. Then we have Gilgamesh himself. Gilgamesh is just, he's cool. He's Gilgamesh. What can I say? You know, this is a character that I'm fairly sure I've heard of before this show, where it's like, oh, Gilgamesh is like a character. Gilgamesh, I think Alexander the Great is like a character I've heard of, and he shows up, I think, toward the end. Obviously, Saber I'd heard of, like, but it wasn't this Saber. It was a female Saber who shows up in the show as well. But Gilgamesh, he's cool. I mean, he has the sword thing where like he has the things coming out the portals, which is like a fate thing I'd heard of before, and he did it, and I was like, oh, that's like so cool. Oh my god, Gilgamesh. So we like him. He's A. Then we have I don't know what to call them beyond the they, them, because they made a big deal about their pronouns, at least in the dub early on, where it's like, do we call them a girl or a guy? Or I don't know. So they, them, this lady, or woman, or man, or boy, or what. I have no idea. They were okay. I think it's kind of falls under this tier where I don't have any strong thoughts on them. Their fight with Saber was like really cool, but they didn't really do too much. And yeah, the same with the wolf. Wolf, I didn't have any opinions. It was kind of cute when the wolf like cozied up to Ayaka. That was really cool. So I like that. This guy I don't like. What was his name? Sigma or something like that? I don't know. I didn't find his storyline too interesting. He doesn't really do anything too interesting. His servant is like kind of cool, and the way they like it kind of laughs at him and stuff, but I don't know, not too interesting. This is his servant. Servant would be cooler than him. Is definitely B tier. Not too much to say about him though. Then we have Zabanea or whatever, like assassin. I don't know if we ever got her full like proper name or whatever, but she was cool. The interesting thing about her is that it constantly feels like she's losing. Like she's never really on top of things. It always feels like she's rushing to get somewhere else, or she's like about to get attacked by someone, and I don't know, but she has cool moments. She has a heart, you know, she cares about the kid. So we like her. She's A. Then we have Vampire Guy. Jester, I think is his name. He facilitates a bunch of cool fights and cool confrontations, and I like the fact that he is the one who figures out quite early that something really important is going on with Tsubaki, and he goes and like, the little girl, if you don't remember, and he goes and like worms his way into like her dream and gets control of that situation. So I like that element. But I don't know, he's like a little annoying, a little over the top kind of stuff, but he's B. I like him still. This, I didn't actually know who this was when I was looking over these characters. I think this is the person that Flat calls at one point and like dismisses or like beats Jester somehow. I don't know, but if that is them, it could be someone else that I'm just misremembering, but if that is them, then B tier. They look fine. They look kind of cool. I don't think we're gonna have any D. Like, there's no one I outright like hate. Like, this is terrible. But this lady, she was definitely B. She's a servant, I think, to the horse that she shows up on. She shows up at some point, has a small fight for a few minutes, disappears, and then I think she like shows up for like a shot or two in the final episode. Very weird storyline, but all her appearances were fine. B. Oh my god. Then we have the church guy. Oh, I wrote his name now. What was it? It was like kind of awesome. Hansa Cervantes. The way they say it in the dub is so cool. But he was awesome. Oh my god. Like, he had the cool fight early with Jester, and he's just like a cool presence throughout the show. I like him. He's great. I don't have too much to say beyond, man, was he so cool. So we love Hansa Cervantes. Then we have Francesca and male Francesca, who are basically, I think they're the same character as the whole point, but one is the servant and one is the master or something. I don't know anything about this Fate lore, and she could be like another character from another show for all I know in this Fate universe, but she was good. I liked her. She's kind of that, I don't know what the best term is, like bubbly kind of hyper energy, like always interested in what's going on, like that kind of persona, and she's kind of not really affected by things, like she doesn't like not break character. Like she's always like, it always feels like she's in control, which is kind of cool. So I like Francesca. The boy version, I don't have too much to say. They're basically the same. He doesn't get as much screen time, but it is what it is. Police guy was pretty cool. I expected him to be more of a villain than he ended up being, which was awesome. Like, he really is kind of like a bad guy who is like setting up this like holy grail for some reason. But at the same time, he like cares about the citizens. He doesn't want the citizens get hurt, and you know, we like that. So A. Then we have Caster, who's his like kind of person that he summoned. He was cool too. Like he is interesting because he's like, for the majority of the show, he's just like a voice on the phone or like a person in a room who doesn't really interact with anyone, but he's like an information master kind of, where he always knows everything. And when he confronted Flat, like I said before, he like immediately recognizes the magic he's using. And I don't know, he's cool. I like him. Caster's pretty cool. Oh my God. Then we have John. What was his name? I don't know if I wrote down his name. Let me Google it. John Wingard, I think is his name. Oh my goodness. This guy, Firstly, the first time I saw him, I was like, oh, it's just like a generic background character guy. But then, like, he has a storyline in the show, like a very mini one, like where initially, I think Jester takes his arm and he's like armless now. And it's like, oh my God, I feel bad for this guy because he was just like, he was trying his best to like protect people from this evil vampire. And then Caster gives him an arm and it's like, oh, Caster recognizes that he has like a good heart or whatever. And then later on at the end, like toward the final battle, he like gets a one shot by one of the, I think it was by Hercules. And it's like, oh my God, this was like his life was a joke. Where it's like he loses an arm and he's like the butt of a joke there. Then he gets his arm and you think he's gonna do something cool, and then no, he like immediately dies in one single shot and his like neck is like weirdly like twisted and it's like very funny. But then he comes back, and when you least expect it, he just shows up and like does like this final crazy blow on Hercules, and his friends are like, John, and everyone's like cheering for him. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So we love John. John was awesome. So yeah. Then we have Foldius. Foldius, oh my God. I didn't really like him that much for the first part where I'm like, oh, this is just fine. He'd be like a B tier. But oh my God, if I'm understanding correctly, he is the architect responsible for Flat's death. And oh my God, I'm so invested that I hate him so much that he has to be A tier, okay? So yeah. Then we have Foldius's servant, I think. They show up for one scene and they're really creepy, but I don't have much to say about them. Then we have this whole storyline with this girl who is summoned by this lady who summons the monster thing, the robot thing. The robot thing's really cool. It doesn't really do too much, but everyone's like afraid of it, even like Gilgamesh. I mean, I guess it kills Gilgamesh in the end, which is kind of crazy, or not kills him, but like really severely damages him. But the thing is cool itself. The girl and this lady, I think they're both B for me because I feel like they just came out of nowhere. They didn't do too much and then they disappeared and I just don't know anything about them. So I hardly feel like I know them. So I'm going to put him in B for now. Then we have the Mafia guy who is also like super cool. Oh my God, he'd definitely go in S tier. He feels like he is always in control. Like I was saying, Francesca is like always in control. I feel like if these two met, it'd be like the funniest thing ever. And do they meet at some point? I don't remember. Maybe they do and I just forgot, but he's just, yeah, his coolest scene is when I'm going over all my like cool scenes in my next section, but it's when he summons Hercules for the first time. And he uses all three of his command spells to like subdue Hercules. And Hercules is like crazy strong and we've seen him fight like earlier in the story. And it's like, this man is like, and he doesn't like, this Mafia guy isn't like wavering at all and is not afraid of Hercules at all. He just like commands him until he gets what he wants. And it's like, whoa. And he's like always in control. He like shoots this girl at some point, and I like this guy. He's like super awesome. And then we got Hercules himself. Hercules I didn't actually like that much, but he was fine. Like he's definitely B. He's not bad like this guy who I didn't really like, but I don't know. He has the whole thing about gods and demigods and humans, and I didn't really find any of that interesting, but the bow stuff was cool. He had like cool fights. He was like the central villain kind of at the show. Then we have Tsubaki. Tsubaki was cool. She was a good like kind of plot device in this show, where the whole time I'm thinking like, what's going on with this girl who's in a coma right now? And I felt incredibly like sad for her at the end when she, I guess, sacrificed herself somehow. I don't exactly know what happened there, but the moment was really good when she's like, Mr. Black, I want everything to go back to normal. And the music's playing and the music's awesome. And so just for that moment alone, she's A tier, but you know, she was pretty good. And then we have Mr. Black. Mr. Black was awesome too. He just like doesn't have a face. He's the creepiest of all the servants just because it's like this black mist who is like capturing people into this reality. We like Mr. Black. He was awesome. And then we have Tsubaki's parents who were also A tier because, oh my God, I hated Foldius and I hated these evil parents. How could they do this to Tsubaki here? They basically put her in a coma, tried to get her to have this like servant and acquire these command spells so that they can chop her arm off and take the arm and use it as their arm. So I love these parents are great. I hate them so much. They're fantastic. But that's my tier list of characters. Now back to my notes. So I think I've covered most of my like best fights or best moments here, but we'll go over them briefly. There's the Hansa Cervantes versus Jester. Like that was really cool at the beginning. It was the first fight where I was like super invested in it, where it was like, this is just so cool. Like the animation's cool. The characters are cool. That was really cool. Saber fighting the dryad, like they, them person in the forest. Like that was a really cool fight. The story has a really cool moment of like recontextualization where midway through the show, there's this, basically you're following Sigma's perspective as he's in this house and he gets attacked by Assassin. And he runs outside and he sees, and Saber basically grabs him, and then he looks to the side and Ayaka is standing there. Like, what's going on here? How did this happen? Like, why is Ayaka out here? And thank God Saber's here, is gonna like save this guy. And then later on, we follow another perspective in like a flashback where we follow Saber and Ayaka, and they form an alliance with Assassin, and we find out that they actually went to this house that Sigma was staying in because they just wanted somewhere to sleep. And then while they were going there and arriving there, Assassin freaked out because she sensed that someone was in the building and she didn't know who it was. And so she goes to attack Sigma. And that's how these two things come together. And it's like a complete recontextualization, because initially you think that like Assassin is there to like kill him specifically or something like that, Sigma. But then you find out it's like a complete misunderstanding, and eventually they form a faction together. It's just cool. So that was really cool. I like that. There's like I said, the Mafia guy subduing Hercules was cool. Any moment where Flat is doing some cool things with magic. John, like they said, the John moment stabbing Hercules. Gilgamesh getting shot was like crazy, where it was like, man, this is like the king of heroes here. How's he getting shot by this machine? So that was really cool. Oh, then we have, I think I have a GIF here, the coolest moment in the show. Well, maybe not the coolest moment, but the coolest, actually, maybe it is the coolest moment, but definitely the best moment of animation, which is when Assassin jumps out the window to go and save Tsubaki. So this bit. Oh my God, it's so cool. So she like, this is like the end of it, but wait till it gets to the beginning. This bit where she's like diving in the animation school, she's going right in front of this like skeleton thing and it zooms out, and oh my goodness, this was so cool. So we love this moment. So yeah, there's that. Let's go back so we don't have to see that looping forever. Then we have the vision scene toward the end, where we have the vision of the fourth Holy Grail War 15 years ago, and we see the three kings all gathered. And firstly, I hope, I don't know anything about this, but my guess would be, not even guess, because it literally might not be, but I'm hoping that this is like a reanimation of an existing previous like fight, like scenario, like show, one of these Fate shows, because that'd be the coolest thing ever. If you're like a Fate fan and there's like a show from like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, and they're like, which is about like the fourth Holy Grail War, and you get like the important scenes like reanimated in this cool like strange fake art style, like that'd be super cool. So I kind of hope it is like this is like a thing that is in another show that we're like kind of getting adapted here. But the other thing to say about this is that, oh my God, we see female Saber for the first time, and it's like the hypest thing ever. It's like to me, when I think of Fate, she probably is the thing that is in my mind of like, this is the one thing I know about Fate. Saber, the female sword lady who's King Arthur or something like that. She is like probably the most iconic kind of thing from the show that I know about the show. Maybe because is she in like Fortnite or something? I don't know. I know her from something. Like I've seen her design before many times, and yeah. So it was like super awesome to see her here, and it was so exciting. And I feel like they built it up where it was like, you see her hinted earlier in the show, and then like in her scene where she shows up, you like see her feet first or something. It was like really built up in that way, and then you see her and it's like, oh, this is crazy. So that was really cool. Then we have the moment where Tsubaki commands Mr. Black to like return things back to normal, like I was saying. That was really good. And then Flat's death. Oh my goodness. It's so sad because he was a genius and it was like super cool, and he was like the nice guy, and oh my God, I hate Foldius so much, and we can't wait for Foldius to suffer and die. Oh my goodness. But those are my best moments and best fights and all that. Now we have a few miscellaneous things. Firstly, the opening and the ending, really good. The opening really, really sets the tone of each like sitting when you're sitting down to watch it, sets it really well. Like it fits perfectly with the tone of the rest of the show. And then the ending is, firstly, the song is fantastic. I've listened to it a million times already. And then it's like got all the characters holding hands. It's like super cute. So we like the ending too. Again, I'm talking about miscellaneous notes here, so I'm going to jump around quite a bit. The next thing is command spells are a very cool idea. Every time they're used is like super cool. Like when Jester uses it to send Zabanea, the assassin lady, away, it's like super cool, like early on. When the Mafia guy is using it to subdue Hercules, like that's really cool. And then when what was her name? Why am I getting it wrong? Chine Telk? Oh my God, I was saying her name like 2 minutes ago, but I completely forgot. But when Tine Chelk, I think, uses hers to like heal Gilgamesh, or try to, or no, she uses it to bring Gilgamesh here and then to like try and heal him, which is like super cool. So we like that. Command spells are awesome, of a concept, I guess. The other thing is I like how the name is like mentioned in the show indirectly, where it's like something strange is going on in this town of Snowfield, because the Holy Grail War is fake. And I'm like, oh my God, fate, strange, fake. Oh my God, so that was really cool. The animators also specifically really focused on Francesca, where literally every single scene she is in has like flawless, like really good art and animation. And it's like kind of funny, where it's like clearly the producers have like a favorite of like who they're trying to make look really good throughout the show. So like look how cool this shot looks. Like you only get shots like this with Francesca. I don't know, stuff like this. Like it's like it is like a subtly different kind of art style, I feel like, where it's like a little bit more cutesy. Maybe it is just like her design, but it just looks really good. So I don't know, it's just, look at this shot, my goodness. But Francesca, the animators really like Francesca for some reason, but yeah. Another thing the show does, which I thought to put in miscellaneous notes, is that very often it cuts away from like climactic moments in a weird way where I wasn't really a fan of it. It was kind of weird. And I have two examples here. One of them is when the moment when Ayaka is declaring that she's like Saber's master, or admitting it for the first time, which is like, I'm your master, where I think Saber was saying like, Ayaka, you know, are you my master or something like that? And then we basically cut away before we get her answer to it. And it's like, oh, that was weird. And then the next time we cut to her, it's like already acknowledged or something. And it's like, we missed the moment there. So that was weird. And then we have the moment when Stigma is like kind of waging war against his parents when he finds out they want to chop her arm off and everything. And we like cut away before he like does anything. And then we like cut to the aftermath afterward. And it's like, oh, I feel like we just missed the moment here. So it's a weird thing the show does. I don't know what to say, but it's just weird. And then I'm leaving with 3 questions here, which is, one is, what's with the whole, don't tell anyone your servant's real name thing? Like, what's going on there? Is it because, like, my guess would be, not knowing anything really, is that maybe it like gives away something about their weaknesses or something, because like if you told someone, oh, like Gilgamesh is the name of my servant, then maybe that would mean that like whatever historically in history Gilgamesh's like weakness was, maybe it also is a weakness in like this incarnated version of him or something. I don't know, that's my guess, but it was strange. I wonder why. The other question is this the first Fate story to like take place in a very modern kind of urban setting like this, like a modern day urban kind of setting? Because this is super cool. Like I know that first Fate show that I watched, I think it was Fate Zero. As far as I understand, that took place in like the olden days, or it took place not in like a really, I don't know, it just felt different to me. Like this feels very modern day America, kind of like I just liked it basically. This setting was really good, and I wonder if other shows are kind of like this, or if it's just like this is a unique kind of element to it, because it was kind of cool. So there's that. And the last thing to say is that the robot guy who shows up, like the robot servant, the big scary thing, it is interesting because it's like, I thought it was kind of cool, but at the same time he like shows up and everyone is like amazed by it. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know if we ever got a name for it, or like, what is it? Like, my understanding is that like all of these servants who are being summoned are like either mythical tales, or they're like people actually who lived in history. And like, what is this robot thing? Like, is it from the future? Is that how that works? Where it's like you can summon from the past and the future? And it was strange, but cool. So yeah, but that is Fate Strange Fake. It was much better than I expected. I enjoyed it. It was visually amazing. Great moments, great fights. That's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching. Subscribe right now and see you next time.